Coming to you live around the world from NOV's Studio 202. This is InsightOut Horizons. With your hosts, Lydia Mabry, Jeremy Griswold, Cass Casey, and Shelby Dumaine. Now, let's start the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are tuning in from. My name is Shelby Dumaine, and this is InsightOut Horizons. It's the show every week where we talk to an expert in the oil and gas and energy industry and hear their insights and bring it out to you. I'm so excited to have you on today. We have an extra special episode celebrating International Women's Day, and we have some incredible ladies coming from each of our segments. But before I introduce them, I did really quickly want to let our audience know that if you're watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, you can get involved in the show today. So you can comment in the comment section, like I said, wherever you're watching from, ask your questions, let us know where you're watching from, or just let us know what you're thinking about the conversation. And at the end of the show, we will be doing a live Q&A. So be sure to get your questions in, and we will get to as many as we can at the end of the episode. All right, so as I mentioned, we have some pretty incredible ladies here, both in the studio and joining us virtually. To start it off, I want to welcome Rium Johnson. She is VP of Strategic Accounts for Wellbore Technologies. Hello, Rium.
Hello.
We have Tiffany Matthews. She is the engineering manager and complete of Amanda O'Connor. She is warehouse manager for our pressure control group facility from Rium Technologies. And joining us virtually from Denver, we have Elizabeth Creech. She is Scrum Master in IT from our Shared Services segment. So we really wanted to bring some ladies representing NOV. Every year we go with our She Is NOV campaign online around International Women's Day. And it's really to celebrate the incredible ladies that make up NOV, that help, make us all these incredible technologies every single day. So I'm excited for the conversation. And to kick it off, I'm going to ask our ladies simply, what do you do here at NOV? What's your job every day? And also, what do you enjoy outside of work? So we'll start with you, Rium.
Hi, thanks, Shelby. So I'm in the Wellbore Technologies group. I actually just started in my role as VP of Strategic Accounts just in January. So I feel like the new kid again, even though not so new with NOV. But currently what I'm helping with is bringing on our new AF Global family joining the NOV family. So that's a new acquisition that we made back in November last year. So welcoming them into NOV and future really looking into how to integrate the technologies that they're bringing in with other NOV technologies like the Max platform, Novos, wire drill pipe, and all of that. So even though I fall under the sales group right now, I'm kind of really honing in on the technical side, which is more comfortable for me coming from engineering. So that's what I'm working on now.
Tiffany,
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah, so my name is Tiffany Matthews, and I'm the engineering manager at NOV Rolligon. It's actually not too far down the road from here, from the STC. My team and I are responsible for the engineering and project management of all the equipment, both the capital equipment and the aftermarket projects that we manufacture at that facility. Our facility manufactures frac equipment, so a lot of the equipment that you see on site on a hydraulic fracturing site is what we engineer and manufacture.
I'm Amanda. I'm the warehouse manager at Pressure Control Group. Our facility handles the subsea stacks, the BOPs, more recently the top drives. And my main thing is to manage our team of people and help everything get in and out and serve production the best way possible. Yeah.
All right, and Elizabeth?
Hi, I'm with the Corporate Application Services, and we, our team of about 5 people, support over 40 different custom applications, and they serve a variety of areas such as logistics, customs compliance, treasury, identity, and even we were helping with acquisitions because we had an acquisitions portal that Rium just mentioned. We just day-to-day do support and development of these custom applications, and have a great team. Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, and I forgot to mention it up at the top, but all of you ladies were actually nominated by your colleagues for the incredible work you do, for being so awesome every day. And so I wanted to ask to drill a little deeper. So again, who are y'all outside of work? Because I know your colleagues didn't only nominate you for the phenomenal work you do, but also for the phenomenal people you are. So I want to ask a little bit more. What do you enjoy doing outside of work? What are your any hobbies or interests that you have?
Used to have hobbies. I'm a new mom, so my little one just turned 1. So what I do outside of work right now really is just soaking up every moment with him, stay busy doing that. And, especially with COVID, staying in with the house, I haven't really socialized so much, but we're looking forward to kind of getting out and connecting with other families. So definitely in a new identity for me, but that's what I'm doing for fun now is really playing with the little one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So good. You guys know.
Oh, we know. Yeah. So interestingly enough, mine is similar but very different. Okay. So my husband and I are in the very crazy but very fun stage of having a teenager and a preteen that are very active. So we, I love being a bleacher mom. I do everything I can to support my kiddos. They play so many sports, both of them. One's 13 and one's 10. And it's an absolute joy to be able and have the privilege to watch them grow and do the things they love and be there for the wins and the losses and helping them watching their character building and how they handle this with grace. And so seeing them turn into young men and young women. So that's about all you have time for.
Yeah.
Understandable.
The narrative is the kids. That is literally all my focus is outside of work. I'm in a unique position between the two of you. I have 3 adult kids, and then I have a 6-year-old. So lately, the last 6 years, it's been really reveling in everything I didn't get to do as a younger mother with the older kids. And so it's just soaking it all in. She's a personality. She really is. But yeah, it's just, that's literally my focus outside of work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Elizabeth?
So I have 1 child, and he graduated from high school. So I am starting at the other end where I'm just being able to have some time to myself.
Congratulations.
And, I enjoy going out for walks in the snow here with my golden retriever. I like running, and I have just started learning a digital drawing app on my iPad.
Very cool.
How neat.
That's one of my hobbies. So I feel
Really?
like we might have to talk after this about what you use. I love doing that. Well, this next question, so it was one that was important to me to ask, which is with International Women's Day being yesterday, I think it's really important to celebrate, partly because coming into the industry, all I really knew about oil and gas and energy prior was, it's a boys club and there's not any women and this and that. And I've kind of found in this industry such incredible support from the fellow women, and that we are here. And so that's why I like to celebrate International Women's Day, is to both uplift each other, but also to let the outside people know, like, hey, we are here and we're, kicking butt every day. Yeah. So I want to ask each of you, why do you think it's important for us to celebrate International Women's Day? And we'll start with you, Tiffany.
Oh, thanks, Shelby. Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. So International Women's Day, First of all, I think that it's so important to remember that all the privileges and opportunities that we have today come from people before us that have kind of paved the way and made these opportunities available, both in supporting women and other women that have kind of pushed the boundaries. And so when you think about that and you think about the next generation and the people coming, the next group of ladies that are coming along, and even our kids, helping them to remember and understand that, you know, the privileges and opportunities that we have today are really have come from a long line of people that have pushed and helped to get this and make this possible, and to be grateful for that. And then also, I guess if you add the international side, I mean, NOV is a fantastic company that promotes a lot of women and sees value in that. And obviously, we're always a work in progress, and there are places in this world that don't always have the same privileges and opportunities that we have. So it is very important to continue to celebrate the things that we've learned and where we've come from and where we're going.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
I think celebrating it too allows, it provides a platform that's an example for other women, and in turn builds confidence and its own inspiration. Well, you see someone in a role that you didn't think was possible, then you can feel the power to step outside your comfort zone.
I think it's important. It's kind of like you're saying. It's good to celebrate, but it's a way to recognize how do you get help as someone who is trying to come up and kind of figure your way out. But it's also a way to provide help. Right. So I think just formulating that network and that nod of who's come before you and helping the people come along that are behind you, that just builds this strong family, really, you know, because even just listening to you ladies talk about the different phases with kids, I'm like, oh, I need to ask her about sports. Just different things like that. I think just builds a stronger connection, you know, with people who really understand things that you've gone through, or maybe things that you might go through in the future that you don't even know you're going to, you know, just kind of looking out for each other.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Elizabeth?
I would add that, you know, it's a great opportunity to be able to recognize the accomplishments, you know, both in the past that, you know, Tiffany was talking about, as well as current, and in general, the impact that women have, and a unique perspective that we bring to life in general, but, you know, into our work areas in particular. I think it's a great compliment, you know, to have our perspective in the work environment.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
agreed.
And to that perspective, that's one of the reasons why I love doing this panel. We did a similar one last year, and same with this year. We have, all of you are in such different areas. We have a woman in IT and engineering, strategic accounts, which is so interesting, a manager of a warehouse, or one of the coolest facilities I've seen. So the pressure control group, I know we have a podcast episode on it. Every time I hear about that place, I'm like, oh, it's doing crazy stuff over there.
I think it's just so important to cheer for each
Yeah,
other. Like Amanda and I just
exactly.
met, and even when we met, I was like, "So what do you do?" She's like, "A warehouse manager." I'm like, "Yeah, we'll run that show."
Yeah.
Way to go.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I know. When I spoke to your colleague Amanda that nominated you for this, and she was like, "Actually, I know Amanda O'Connor, and she's a manager for Pressure Control Group, the warehouse." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
The PCG manager is a woman? That's so inspiring and so exciting."
Yes.
And so I'm so excited to have y'all all on here. And so my next question is, what inspires you? Y'all inspire me, but I want to know what inspires you, whether it's something that happened, a book, a moment, just day-by-day stuff. What is it that motivates you every day?
I could talk about this forever. There is a quote that I live by. There's several, but one that sticks out is, do your best until you learn better. Once you know better, do better. And there's a lot of things that can go into that and that you can take from that. For me, it's just trying to set a better example. I'm known in my family and colleagues as a cycle breaker. I just push boundaries, and if something's wrong, I tell my kids this. I hope my kids live by this. If you don't like something, you can change it, right? You can work really hard or change your narrative or change your environment, change a job. You don't have to settle and you don't have to be uncomfortable. And I try to lead by example in that for my kids and the department, the employees. If I set examples, it'll hopefully inspire them to step outside of their comfort zones.
That's excellent.
That's great.
Very good.
Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't call it necessarily like a revelation or anything, but
Right.
really name any underdog story out there, I think, and I'll relate. Little Giants, Icebox, you know, I mean, that kind of
Absolutely.
thing.
Good one.
I when I had more hobbies, used to play a lot of sports. And so I always had a lot of guy friends growing up. I'm an older brother, a lot of older cousins who were all boys. And so that's just the environment I'm used to. If there are people who weren't used to me, I think when they look at the only girl in the group, then it's like, oh, why is she gonna play too? You know. And then I used to take the compliment of, oh, you're pretty good for a girl, as an insult. So that little call it a chip on your shoulder, but in a positive way, like not a bitter way, but more of like a challenge you accepted,
Yes.
type of thing. I think also motivates me, kind of, I like being in the underdog role. Probably one of the reasons I chose engineering as well. So again, always, surrounded by guys, and you can just hang and it becomes the norm, really. Like I don't see myself as like, okay, I have to. I'm the weakest link here, really, right? Like I'm gonna prove I'm part of the team too, and everybody can produce, and we can all work together, So again, I think my motivation each day is just that underlying underdog story of like I've got something to prove. Like I got to make sure I'm pulling my weight too.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What
So I'll
about
throw in there, I actually had a student engineering job when I was in college with a major gas company headquartered in San Antonio for the summer, and we went to compressor stations between San Antonio and Laredo, went to offshore unmanned stations, and I have to say, coming to NOV now, 20-something years later, the environment is quite a bit different, and I think what motivates me is the integrity of the people that I work with and the positive attitude. Everybody wants to do a good job, and they're helpful, want to support each other, and having some technical challenge and feeling like I make an impact every day, making things better, more efficient. So that's what motivates me.
That's fantastic. I think mine's a little different, and it's probably been different in different stages of my life. I kind of always grew up with my parents kind of telling me, you can, if you want to, and you work hard and you set your mind to it, you can do it. You can do anything you want to do. And that took me a long way. But after I found myself as a young professional, 2 kids, wife, leading an engineering team with a lot of responsibilities, there's just kind of always this tug, and there's always going to be in between, am I doing enough as a mom, and am I doing enough as a wife, and am I doing enough as an employee and an employer, and are the decisions I'm making, and so right for the direction that the people in my life need me to be taking them. And I think around that stage in my life really began to shift how I think about what is my identity and what is my self-worth. And it's not wrapped up in what do I do, it's wrapped up in who I love and who I serve. And when I started flipping that, mental thought process, oh my goodness, I found so much balance. It was easier, so much easier to say, these are the things that we need to do because this is what's right for our customers. This is what's right for my employees. This is what's right for our organization. These are the things I need to do as a mom because this is what's right for my kids and my family. And that balance became so much easier. So that the people in my life and who I love and who I serve, that's what motivates me daily.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, I actually had a question kind of going off of what you said about how much the industry or the environment has changed. And this could be a question for anybody, but I want to start with you, Elizabeth. Can you talk a little bit about those changes you've seen in energy and what that's looked like?
As far as, the working with people, people interactions,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's back in the time when I was a student engineer, and I worked closely. There was another female engineer full-time who was working there, and I think she and I were both seen as novelties, right? Our managers were good to us, but there was definitely, sort of a stigma, and not too long after that, they were saying, hey, do you want to go offshore and be on a rig? And I'm like, no, thank you. I know what that's going to be like. But definitely working in the job that I have right now, there's many women from diverse backgrounds, and they're all treated professionally, and it's not like it's a big deal. It's definitely not a novelty anymore.
Yeah, and I
So
think
that's the big-
I think what's kind of cool with that too is you used to look at a leader or even someone in oil and gas or someone who's running the warehouse or someone who's running an engineering team. I don't know who you guys followed, but usually when I step into a role, I'm following a man who's been in the role for a while. And I used to start off thinking like, okay, well, that's how they did it. I probably got to step in that way too. That's what the team knows, and that's how I have to adjust. But with the change in the industry, I think I have actually very much felt very powerful and comfortable and confident just stepping in and doing things the way I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Right. And I think that it's actually a lot more accepted than like, we don't know what to do with her at this point. So that's the way I see it now, just with the industry the way it is. Just, I think more more accepting, more open-minded, with new different perspectives that we would bring in and different style that we bring in. So that's what I appreciate with this, and especially as a new mom, you just got to own it, right? Like
Yes.
that's your, I mean, for me, I can speak just, for me very recently, obviously, I've put in time of like being in leadership, putting in those long hours and shown the dedication, all that kind of stuff. So really, if I need to step out, to do things for my family or for my baby or whatever, then there's no harm in that, and I think it's more accepted, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would agree. It is definitely more accepted. That has also been very similar to a lot of my experiences. And part of it is just, like you said, it's owning that. It's making the decision that it's okay to do these things. And it's okay that if you're going to get from point A to point B, one person may go up and one person may go down, but you still get from point A to point B, and not everybody's styles are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Tiffany, you mentioned motherhood, and we've all kind of talked about, Rium, you mentioned, we've all talked about motherhood. And as somebody without kids, I'm sorry, I apologize. My free time.
Don't apologize. That's actually my advice. Be completely unapologetic
Yes.
of who you are as a woman and your identity at work, at home, whatever it is. Just own it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do babysit.
There you go.
Know? Hey,
I'll take you up on
Do
that.
carpool.
Great practice.
I've I babysat for people in this room actually, but as somebody with no kids, I always am wondering how can I support my female colleagues who do have children and are working on that balance that we've talked about. And I've been to a lot of Women's Day either panels or talks, and we have great conversations about that balance. But I want to know, for me and for anybody else, maybe the men that we work with, what can we do to support our female colleagues that are doing that balance? What can we do to support you? Actionable items, right now, what could we do? And this to anybody.
I think for me, I've been a mom, it feels like forever. I was a very young mom, and I've always been a working mom. For me, it's understanding the logistics that go into being a working mom. And I feel that when anyone understands and gains a little perspective on what those logistics look like, it comes with a different level of appreciation, compassion, and then will in turn provide some flexibility.
Yes.
And I think that's where the narrative I've seen just over the last 20 years has really turned.
Yeah. I think just being an advocate for each other in that way, absolutely, because I will admit, before I was a mom and I came in and I was managing the HSE team in corporate, I remember when I worked out here, the hours that 7 to 7, like that's when the rig was running and that's what we were expected to do. And so when I came into a role where the team was, coming in at 7, leaving at 4, yes, I could get a hold of them at the after hours and that kind of thing if necessary. But I remember thinking like, what's going on here? But it opened my eyes. Like there was a lot of new parents and I didn't have the perspective. See, Shelby, you already are thinking ahead and being like, how can I help? I was not that considerate, right? But now being a mom, well, because I didn't know.
Perspective.
Yeah, it's perspective.
It's perspective.
So just being an advocate and being open-minded like you already are for the people who aren't moms, or not to sound sexist, but for the men who have a significant other that takes care of things like that and therefore kind of meaning the family things at home. Sharing that perspective and understanding, I think, is really what is appreciated, because someone's got to take care of it, right? Yeah.
I was thinking, like you said earlier, there's not one answer for everyone, but it'd be nice if there's some flexibility. Some mothers may want to, put their kids in childcare and be at work from 8 to 5. Some people want to stay home all the time. It would be nice also, though, if there could be a middle ground where maybe, you could work, 4 hours a day, and then, you have a little bit more cushion, a little bit more leeway. In some cases, you could, if coverage was required, maybe 2 moms, one would work morning, one would work in the afternoon, right? And just find creative ways to be able to, get the job done, but also give people the bandwidth and the time that they need to, do the job of taking care of the kids.
And the trust too, right? Be flexible with those different circumstances, but it really not just like on the surface, okay, I guess she's got to go pick up her kid now or do all this stuff, but like really inherently have that trust and know as co-workers, like she handles her stuff. She might not be here the exact same times that we are, but we know she can handle it. So just really have that trust in each other. And that, again, comes with that advocacy for each other that I think is really important.
Yeah, and to go on that, we've talked a lot about schedule flexibility, which is huge. I mean, it is always a constant battle when you're a mom, is managing your work schedule and your home schedule. And there's ways to manage that, and there's things you can do, and there's a lot more opportunities and flexibility now. But the other thing I would say, especially for the ladies who've kind of been there and done that, and they got that T-shirt, like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk about your experiences, because as a young mom, you're trying to learn how to balance all of these things. And when you can hear someone else's perspective and you can understand that maybe they have fought some or similar battles that you have, and you've tried the juggling act. Hearing that and knowing that you're not the only person dealing with this, it goes a long way, and
really
you can
does.
learn from each other. So it's really important to talk about the good times, the bad, the funny, the hard, because they all exist.
It's absolutely true. One of
Yeah.
the biggest things over time is the fluctuation of schedules. You know, the commitment as an infant or toddler completely changes when they hit school age. And then it completely changes again once they hit sports age.
Yes.
And then it's just unknown in high school. So I'm just letting y'all know.
Yeah, and I'll be fair, Rium, my perspective of how can I help is relatively recent. I have a colleague in the room. I babysat for her overnight, which was my first overnight babysitting. Her kids are amazing, and even with amazing kids, I was like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to help out my friends who have kids more often.
Yeah.
And different people are going to need different help and different support at different stages. And I think, too, the other thing it's important to continue to help people understand is that at different stages or different places in your life, it's okay to say yes and it's okay to say no to different opportunities and different requests that pull on your time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we did get a few audience questions, so I'm going to ask those. I did want to mention, though, if you are watching this and you still have a question, you're not out of time. We still have a few more minutes if you want to get those in, but we're going to start off with the ones that we got already. And these are, again, for everybody. They didn't name any one specific person, although if you do have a question for a specific person, let us know that. And the first one is, do any of you have any book or podcast recommendations? And I'll say, apart from InsightOut Horizons, available wherever podcasts are downloaded. Okay. But do any of you have any other book or podcast recommendations?
Go ahead.
Do you have any?
Well, the book I can think of, that's helped me is The Road Less Traveled. That's,
a good one.
It's with or without kids or your career. That book definitely made a positive impact on me.
Absolutely.
I'd say a recent book that I've really dove into that I really appreciate. It's called Thanks for the Feedback. It's actually a leadership book, but it's all about the perspective of receiving information and receiving feedback, and then what do you do with that? And it really helps to understand some of your own blind spots, some of the how you receive information and how you process it, and how you communicate with others. And so that one was a really good one, and it's really fun because you can use it on your kids and you can use it
It's versatile. Nice.
Absolutely.
I'm not reading very much these days. I'll entertain the podcast every now and again. Typically, when I'm listening to, not really very inspirational, but just to stay on top of the news, I watch those or listen to those little top 5 news things, like it's on Apple or there's a Wall Street Journal one. There's like 5 of them, and I'm really just halfway listening, and they're about 10 minutes each, but that lets me stay on top of like current events and that kind of thing. And there's another one. This one's a little touchy-feely. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't, but it's called We Can Do Hard Things.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of that one.
Have y'all heard of that? It's really difficult, but they have all these different topics that they talk about from the different perspectives, but anything tackling from like anxiety and acceptance and how do you relate your current life moving forward with kind of like past struggles that you've had. It's kind of convoluted, but it's kind of a touchy-feely one, I think, that I like to listen to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a avid reader, and I just recently started picking up podcasts. I live too close to our home, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
one
listen to a
that
lot of
you
comedies.
did you know, Lauren sent me Flipping the Barrel.
Yes,
I think that's
yes.
one. I
Friends
just
of the
listened to
show.
one episode for now, but I liked it a lot, though. I think it tells the women's perspective in oil and gas, actually. So
does,
not to be
does.
like
Yeah.
cliche with the exact topic we're talking about right now, but
Nice.
I just listened to one episode yesterday. It was
Flipping
pretty
the
good.
Barrel.
Flipping the barrel.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
The
that
hosts
one.
are Maciel and Jamie, so they're awesome. We actually had them on 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe. We had them on this show. So
Okay.
if you're
Nice.
curious,
I'll
you
look
can
at
check
that
that
one.
out and then
Yeah.
check their podcast out. Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we have, I think, one more audience question to close us out, and it comes from LinkedIn. Do you have any creative outlets or anything fun that you want to share or that you're just diving into or that you're interested in diving into? I know y'all said time is hard to come by, but what do y'all use to kind of get that maybe creative side out?
I used to sew more, just really randomly. I don't know how to sew well, but not clothes, just little like wallets and purses and bags and stuff like that. And in going, like while going down that path, I picked up on like Cricut. I don't know if like moms do that too. I don't think I'm like that unique, but I learned what that was so I could decorate these said bags. Now I'm using it to decorate onesies.
Yes. I love that.
That is so fantastic.
So yeah, just the Cricut, just stencil and and
Crafts.
iron on type of thing. But yeah, quick and simple.
Yeah, crafts. Crafts.
crafts.
I've always been a writer, a journaler.
Okay.
If I'm overwhelmed or too in my feelings, I write. But lately, it's been crafts. I handmade wood gifts for my adult kids this Christmas. It was so rewarding. I was so proud of them. So that's my creative outlet.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And Elizabeth, I know you mentioned that you've been getting into the kind of digital art drawing. What do you typically draw? If I could ask.
Well, I actually have a little project. We have a friend who did like a black and white pencil. It's one of those like maps, and it was of Austin from 1987. And I kept looking at that. And our family lived in Singapore. My son was in 6th and 7th grade. And I thought, how cool to maybe do something like that of Singapore. So it would be, the typical things like Marina Bay Sands, but also just all the places we like to visit, right, that remind us of Singapore. So I've already done at least 3 buildings, and then I'm going to try to, put them together in the map of Singapore. And if I get very ambitious, we have photographs, and if we do it's digital, and you roll over the particular building, I'm hoping to link our photographs, from those locations.
Oh, how
So
nice.
that's cool. Right.
Like a digital
amazing.
scrapbook.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, ladies, I think the best way to echo my feelings about the episode is actually we got a comment from Carmen Jacobs on LinkedIn. She's watching from Cape Town, South Africa, and she said, "Well done, ladies. Super proud to be part of the NOV Global team." And
Yay.
that sums up exactly my feelings. So thank you so much for coming on the show and lending your insight for us to bring out to our audience. But also for me, I know I have a lot of stuff I've learned. And if you were watching today, thank you for joining us. You can watch all past episodes at nov.com/live. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.